Hey, John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I got this question about book publishing. As you probably know, I wrote a book called Soft Skills, a Software Developer's Life Manual, and I've had a lot of success with it. I have gotten it up to, it was #1 in software development books in UK for some time. It kind of hovers around the top like 20 of software development books in the US, which is pretty cool. And it's been up as high as like, I think 3,000 overall on Amazon, and it continues to sell, right? So I've got an audio version of it as well, which stays up in the charts. So I've had a lot of success. Thank you all that have bought the book, by the way. Appreciate that, and appreciate all the reviews on Amazon. It's been awesome to see all of you that have left me reviews. Really appreciate that. That really helps. But so I get a lot of questions about publishing a book and how to do it. And while I can't guarantee that you're going to have a bestseller book, I certainly didn't expect to. I'm going to give you my strategy. I got this question here. I'll read this question from Eric. He says, "Hi John, maybe you can answer this on your podcast or just right here. Do you have any tips on how to launch a technical book, ebook, or hardcovered? I'm writing a traditionally published book, and I'd like to know some tips on how to market the book online. Should I create a Facebook group or a separate mailing list? How do I ask for reviews? My ultimate goal is to get my name out there, although it'd be nice to sell enough copies to cover my advance so I can start collecting royalties. Thanks for all your mentorship and guidance." Eric. So Eric, good that you're writing a book. Definitely, I want to set some things up front. First of all, don't expect to make a lot of money on a traditionally published book. I do okay on soft skills, but it is sort of a best-selling book. But I don't do great on it. I do all right on it. But that's not the reason to create a book, and it seems like that's not your reason. You want to get your name out there. That's the reason to create a book, really a traditionally published one. Another thing I'd say is, with a traditionally published book, a lot of people think that the publisher is going to do a lot for you. And, I don't have anything against my publisher, but they didn't do everything that I expected. Like, I thought I was going to be, signing books and going on tours and stuff like that. And they really don't do that anymore. There's so many books that get published. They don't have as much of a marketing influence as you would think. Now, they have their list, and they're going to sell to their list and to their customers, and they're going to market to their customers, and that's good, and that's going to help you, and that's going to sell some books. I'm not saying, again, I'm not trying to knock my publisher. They did an awesome job, but I just want to set the level of expectations to let you know that you are primarily going to market your book. And it sounds like you have owned up to this, and so it sounds like you already, I might be preaching to the choir there, but just for everyone else who's thinking about writing a book, realize that this is true. So now, how do you actually go about doing this? So I'll tell you what I did, and and I think you could probably achieve similar results if you do something similar, which is I basically got a list, first of all. So I have a list of people. Obviously, I have my blog and the YouTube channel, and the list has grown since I've launched the book, but I had a list of email addresses of people that signed up for my newsletter. And so, you want to build an audience first. And in fact, really, to get a traditionally published book today, to get a decent deal, the publisher really is going to look at your audience, because they know that here's the publishing industry. This is the game that the publishers play, right? I don't know what the stats are, but let's say that they publish 9 books, and 9 of them are going to cost them money, and 1 of them is going to make up for the rest of the 9. That's sort of their game, right? So what they want in order to publish a book is they just want to know that they'll sell enough copies to break even. And if you have a big enough audience, they know that that's true. It'll cover the cost of publishing it. And then they'll hope that it'll be a hit and it'll make up for some of the losses that they've had. So what I'm saying is, like, when you think about that, that means that your audience is the most important thing. You have to build the audience first. The world is different today, right? People who have big audiences sell best-selling books. The bigger your audience is, the more likely it is. Now, there are some runaway hits where someone just comes from relatively unknown, doesn't have an audience, and it goes viral and they sell a book. But most of the big books, when you look at the top books on Amazon and you look at the bestsellers, those are people with really large audiences to start with, and then they publish a book to that audience, and that's why so many people are buying the book. That's a lot of the success of Soft Skills, of my book. A lot of people say, well, how would your book be so successful? Well, it's because I have 5 to 10,000 people visiting my website every day. I've got so many thousand, like 10,000 people watching my YouTube videos every day, and so they're learning about my book and they're buying the book. But what I would say for a strategy is start with this. Get an audience and then build a list. Now, what I did was I sent out an email to my list and I said, hey, look, I'm going to be releasing this book. It's going to be published on such and such date. If you're interested, click this link. And I created another sub list of all the people that were interested in helping me to promote and launch the book. Then I gave those people advanced copies of the early version of the book, got my publisher to do that, and I said, hey, look, read this in advance, and on launch day, if you like the book, leave a review. We're all going to leave a review on the same day. This is the launch, and buy the book on that day, right? So that helped because then it boosted it way up in Amazon. I got a whole bunch of reviews coming in from the beginning, and these weren't fake reviews, right? These are people who said, I just said, if you like the book, leave a review. I didn't say in order to get a free copy of the book, you must leave a review. That's probably against Amazon's terms, I'm sure, and it doesn't seem very honest to me anyway. But there's going to be people that are in your audience that are going to like to help you, and they're going to like your book, and they're going to leave a review. And people who don't like it, they're not going to leave a review. That's how you want to filter that out. So that's the best way, I think, to do it. And you do it all on one day so that everyone's hitting it on the same day, because that boosts it up in Amazon, right? And then once it's boosted up in Amazon, people see it when they browse, and that causes that whole chain reaction effect. And I got a lot of lift from that. By getting the book initially boosted up, then more people saw it, and so more people bought it, and now it stays up there because when you're browsing software development books, you see that book. So that's the strategy that I would use. I think not enough people do that strategy today, especially in the technical book market. Like I could tell you, if you have a big enough audience, you can have a #1 bestseller easy if you do a strategy like this. Now, if you look at some of the experts who've done similar strategies, I think Tim Ferriss, if you look at his stuff, go to his blog. I think it's like 4-hour blog or something. You can look it up, and you can look up his stuff on his book launches. He did a lot of complicated stuff, but essentially his strategy boiled down to something very similar to what I did, except he did it on a bigger scale and had all these blogs blogging about his book when it came out. But you can definitely do something similar like that. Just make sure that you focus it on one day and get everyone to buy on the single day. Another good person who's really good at launching books is Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. Search for him. I think at the time I'm recording this, he's like 4 days from a book launch, and he's like doing all kinds of stuff, and he's coordinated all on one day. He did some crazy stuff in the past where it's like if you bought 500 copies of the book, he would like come to your house and make you dinner or something like that. And so he's encouraged people to buy big bulk copies to hand out to people. So there's a lot of different things that you can do there. Just think about trying to make it all focused effort on a single day to get that hype to the maximum level, because the more hype that you have, you don't want to have that dispersed out. You want to have that all on one. And it's the same thing for launching anything, a product of any kind. You want to do that. So hope that helps you, Eric. Best of luck with the book. Send me an email when you publish your book, and maybe I'll send out some tweets and help you promote it on your launch day. So if you've got a question for me, email me at john@simpleprogrammer.com. And if you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Take care.